Hello everyone, my name is Keely. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome to another book haul with a little twist. So I am moving in exactly 1 week from me filming this video. I'm moving from South Texas to Denver, Colorado. So I have hundreds of books that I need to pack up, and it is quite stressful. Now, I do have books that I need to haul for you, and I wanted to film a haul before I move, but I was like, you know what, I don't have time to film a haul, I need to pack. But then I had the idea, why don't I just do both? I haul books and I pack them as we go. So I clearly have my plastic bin here that I'm gonna pack up my books in as we're hauling them, and I'm excited because I'm going to actually make progress in my packing because I am behind, and we're gonna pack up quite a few books today because I have quite a few books to haul. So in this book haul, I have 38 books to show you. I did have over 40 books. However, I have already unhauled some of the books that I never hauled. So I already took those off the list. So right now I have 38 books to show you. So let's go ahead and get on into it. Okay, so I've kind of gone through and broken up these books into different sections. So the first little section I'm going to go through is books that I got because I am currently reading the series or I'm about to start the series. Basically, these are books that are all a part of a series. So the first two books I have to show you are The Tyrant's Tomb and The Tower of Nero by Rick Riordan. These are books 4 and 5 in the Trials of Apollo series. I finally read and completed this series this year, and I am just so excited because I have had like the rest of the series on my shelves for so long, and I just never started them, and I finally did. If you don't know, or if you don't recognize the name Rick Riordan, this is another of his Greek mythology series. This one in particular follows the god Apollo, and he is being punished, and his punishment is to go down to Earth and live his life as a 16-year-old boy, and of course he has several quests along the way. I really enjoyed these books, and I think it was a great wrap up to the series. So now it is time to pack them up, and I'm trying to start with like the hardcovers because they should go at the bottom. I really don't know how I should best pack. If you have any packing tips, let me know. Next, I have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. All I know about this one is it is inspired by Red Queen and the Hunger Games, and some people think that it is way too inspired by the Hunger Games, but anytime you say something is reminiscent of the Hunger Games, I will pick it up, and I'm so scared because this one is so hyped, and if you don't know yet, I have extremely unpopular opinions, especially when it comes to hyped books. It's not that the hype gets to me, it's just that my taste is completely different than the majority of people, and so I'm worried I'm gonna hate this one because I have hated previous very popular books, but I want to give it a try just because those comparisons. So into the box we go. Next, I have Rogue by Julie Kagawa. This is the second book in the series. The first book is Talon, and we follow characters that are dragon shapeshifters, and dragons are supposed to stand apart from the human world, except the two characters we follow are trying to adapt and kind of stay hidden in the human world, so they have to train to look and act like humans when there are dragon hunters out in the world that are trying to find them. The way the first one ended was absolutely crazy, so I can't wait to read the second one and figure out what's going on because the betrayal I felt. But these covers are really awesome because they're also very textured like dragon scales, so I really need to pick this one up. Next, I have the first 5 books in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series in paperback, so let me go through these real quick. So the first one is Keeper of the Lost Cities, and this series is all about a little girl named Sophie who, since she was 5 years old, she has been able to read minds, and she realizes that this is not normal. She is also highly intelligent. One day, she is on a school field trip to a museum, and this boy comes up to her and says, "I know you can read minds, because I can also read minds. By the way, you are an elf living among humans, so you need to come back home with me." And it goes off from there. The found family in the series is also very incredible. Book number 2 is Exile, which I have already read as well. Book number 3 is Everblaze, which is also read from me. Book number 4 is Never Seen, and this is the last book in the series that I have read so far. And book number 5 is Lodestar, so I am on this book. These are chunky books, but they are just so captivating. They read so quickly. And the last book I have in the series stack is Lover Eternal by J.R. Ward. This is a mass market paperback, and this is book 2 in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, which is a series all about vampires. Now, there are probably over 30 books in this series, so maybe in my lifetime I'll read all of them. I read the first one a few years ago and really enjoyed it, so it's about time I continue. Next, I'm going to go through some nonfiction books because they are heavier, so they kind of need to go on the bottom of this bin. And a lot of these I got on my recent vacation I took this summer. The first one is Subpar Parks by Amber Sher. Amber Sher is an illustrator, so she illustrates these different pictures throughout this book. And it's all about 1-star reviews about national parks. And she takes these 1-star reviews and spins them on their head and talks about how great these parks actually are. As a national park lover myself, this was so much fun and the illustrations were great. Next, I have Death, Daring, and Disaster by Charles R. Farabee. So every time I go to a national park, I weirdly like to find books about death. So this is all about death, daring, and disasters that have happened across national parks all over the world, and I just find those stories so fascinating. Next, I have this Twilight Tours book that I got when I visited Forks, Washington. I went in a lot of the stores, I took a tour throughout Forks, and all about the Twilight movies, so of course I had to pick this up. Next, I have The Indifferent Stars Above by Daniel James Brown, and this is the story of the Donner Party. So on our vacation, we actually went to Donner Pass and went through the museum and got to see everything and where everything took place. And I know that Daniel James Brown often writes nonfiction stories about historical events, but it is told as if it is through a fictional lens because the writing is really digestible. So I wanted to pick this one up, of course, while I was at Donner Pass. All right, I am so clueless as how to pack books because I just don't know. I just hope they're okay. Next, I have Race of My Own by Aidan Owens Delerme, and this is an Olympian's quest for self-discovery. So Aidan is a decathlete for track and field, and he represents Puerto Rico, and he is one of my favorite athletes of all time. I actually got to meet him, and he is really, really great, and he is currently at the Paris Olympics, and this is kind of his memoir, all about his journey, and it talks about a bunch of different things: mental health, colonialism, immigration, all different types of things, because like I said, he is from Puerto Rico, but he went to school in America, so I'm really interested to see more about his life story. And the last kind of nonfiction book I have is Knife Drop by Nick DiGiovanni, and Nick is actually a really popular young up-and-coming chef. He was on MasterChef with, Gordon Ramsay, and I really, really fell in love with him there. You might have also seen him on TikTok, but this is his cookbook. I struggle with food. I have ARFID, so food is very, very difficult for me, but this seemed like a cookbook where I could at least make some of the things and hopefully enjoy them. Okay, let's put Nick at the bottom of the stack because his book is kind of heavy. Next, I have a giant stack of romance books. I have really, really been in the mood for romance this year, so I have been purchasing romance books like crazy. The first one here, I'm not sure if it's a romance, but I got this one at Half Price Books, and it's called The Best Way to Bury Your Husband by Alexia Casal, and as soon as I saw the cover and the title, I was like, yes, I need that. And it also says, Sally never meant to bash her husband's head in with a skillet, or at least she didn't until suddenly she did. So I think this one is about women coming together to get revenge on their husbands. So I am so there. Next, I have The Love of My Afterlife by Christy Greenwood. This is one of my most anticipated books of the entire year because I'm really hoping it gives me Dead Romantics vibes because that's one of my favorite books. But this one follows a woman who is dead, and she is in the waiting room for the afterlife, and she's kind of given a second chance. She is given this chance to go down to earth, and she has, I think it's 10 days to find the love of her life, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I'm interested because these characters are already dead, so I'm really hoping it is comical, romantic, but also has those hard topics about grief. Next, I have Done and Dusted and Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. These are both cowboy romances. This is book number 1 and this is book number 2. I never thought I'd be into cowboy romances, but then I randomly picked up this series and I am head over heels in love with it. So ultimately, the series, we follow a cowboy family who lives on a ranch, and each of the siblings gets their own love story. So in this one, we follow the young sister. So this is a brother's best friend romance. And this one is a grumpy sunshine romance where we follow one of the brothers who is trying to fix up the house, and he falls in love with his designer, and she is actually the grumpy one. I cannot wait to continue with this series as these books come out. I absolutely love them. Next, I got Savor It by Tara DeWitt, and I don't know anything about this book. I just know that it takes place in a small coastal town in Oregon, and the reason I bought this one was because I was in a small coastal town in Oregon, so I felt like I just had to get it because while I was in this small town, and this book is set in a small town in the same place I was in, I felt like it was meant to be. Next, I have a novel love story by Ashley Poston. This is her newest novel, all about this woman who is obsessed with this book series, and one day when she is driving, her car stops and she sets foot in the town where her favorite fictional series takes place in, and it goes off from there. 5 stars, one of my favorite books of the year. Ashley Poston could do no wrong. I actually have a vlog talking about this book, so if you're interested in my thoughts, go watch that. Next, I have Night Shift by Annie Crown. Now, this book I really don't know anything about because I was at a independent bookstore in Waco, Texas, and I wanted to pick a book that I had never heard of, never looked up, or anything like that. So all I know is that this is about this nerdy girl and this jock basketball player who meet in a library, and I saw this cover and immediately wanted to get it. Next, I have Happy Medium by Sarah Adler. I got this book at Half Price Books, and it just says, a clever con artist must convince a skeptical, sexy farmer of his property's resident real-life ghost if she's to save them all from a fate worse than death. So I think she's actually not truly a medium, but she goes there to con this man, and it turns out there might actually be a ghost at this farm. I am so there, because like, ghosts, romance, yes. Next, I have a chunker romance, and that is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This one is very, very popular, and I have heard that it is very, very steamy. And originally, I didn't think I was going to pick it up, but as I have read more and more romance this year, I just feel like I'm really going to be into this one because it is an ice skating hockey romance. I haven't read a lot of hockey romances, but I'm really intrigued with the ice skating part. Next, I have Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. This is a young adult romance that I have read and absolutely loved. We follow this girl who's obsessed with musicals, and her love for them actually has gotten her in trouble, so she has to work in her father's game store, where one of her classmates, Nathan, actually works. And they kind of start fake dating to make her ex-boyfriend jealous and to make the girl that Nathan is really, really into interested in him. And so fake dating ensues, and it is absolutely wonderful. Next, I have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is book 3 in the companion series, which I haven't actually even started yet, but I have heard absolutely wonderful things about this series in general. I've read one Abby Jimenez book so far, and I didn't love it, but I've heard the one that I read isn't a great one for her anyway, but the series is top-notch apparently, so I'm gonna trust my friends, and hopefully they're right. Next, I have Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade, and I don't know too much about this one. I believe it involves fan fiction, and the fan fiction writer and the actor who the fan fiction is about kind of start a romance, something like that. But I'm interested because I love this cover, and I'm so interested in nerdy fan fiction things as well. I love stories like that, and they always feel so real and connected to me. And the last romance I have is The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. I have no idea what this one is about, and I don't need to. I read one Lynn Painter book so far, and it is one of my favorite books. I absolutely loved it, and so now I'm on a mission to read everything she's written. Now I have 2 books to show you that didn't really fit into any category, and the first one is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I picked this one up at a little free library, so it was completely free, and it's in pretty good condition. I don't really know what the synopsis is for this. I know it is a very heartbreaking historical fiction, and it is said to be one of the best books of all time, so I'm definitely interested. I have really been wanting to read more historical fiction because I haven't read it in a while, but every time I've picked one up, I absolutely love it, so I'm hoping I get captivated and just sob my eyes out because I'm ready for that. Next, I have Keeping the Pace by Lori Morrison, and this is a mid-grade book all about running. That's all I know because I was actually gifted this one by our school's librarian. If you don't know, I recently left my teaching job, and the librarian that I grew up with, because this was also my school that I graduated from, she saw this book, thought of me, and was like, hey, do you want it? And I was like, yeah, a book about running? Absolutely. Okay, my bin is starting to get full, but I have a few more books to get through. I have one more stack that is kind of like thriller horror books. The first one on the stack is Firestarter by Stephen King. This is all about people who are pyrokinetics, which they have the power to start fires at will, and they are kind of on the run from the government. This is a Stephen King book that I really, really enjoy. I actually do own a copy already, but this is an old, like, vintage copy, and it's in pretty good condition, and I have always loved this cover. So when I saw it at Half Price Books for really, really cheap, I snagged it up. I'm actually not going to be putting it into this bin because I think I need to protect it a little bit better because it is a little bit old and fragile, so I don't want to just put it in a box with a bunch of books. I'll probably wrap it up first. Another Stephen King book I have is The Gunslinger, which is book 1 in the Dark Tower series. I'm currently reading his books in publication order, and this is actually the next book I have to read, and it's a short book. I'm a little concerned because I think this is a fantasy series, and I'm not a fantasy reader, but I am interested to see how Stephen King writes fantasy. Okay, I'm just so worried for my books. I want them to be okay. Next, I have Falling by T.J. Newman. This is also another one of my favorite books this year, and this is an airplane thriller all about a pilot who is told you can either crash this plane or your family dies. So the course of this novel is the pilot trying to figure out how to save everyone, and it is so intense, and I was thrilled the entire time. Next, I have 2 Frida McFadden books. I have The Housemaid and The Locked Door. I have read The Locked Door, but not The Housemaid yet. My mom bought these on vacation, and after she read them, she gave them to me. The Locked Door follows a woman whose father is arrested as a serial killer. It's been 26 years and now murders are starting to happen. That makes it seem like her father is still out there. The Housemaid follows a housemaid. I don't really know, but I know a lot of people love this one. Okay, putting them in the box. Is everybody okay in here? I hope so. And the last book I have for this book haul is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. I have also read this one as well. This one's a little chunky too, and this is a young adult mystery thriller. So in this one, we follow a young girl named Belle who, when she was 2 years old, her mother disappeared, so she doesn't really know her mom. Now she is 18, and Netflix is actually doing a documentary about the disappearance of her mom when one day her mother shows back up. This one was interesting. It was really, really slow, but the ending really, really got me, so I ended up really loving this one. So those are all the books I have to haul for you today. I have my bin and I can't lift it up. It's so heavy and all the books are falling already, but hopefully they'll be okay in transit. But let me know if you have any packing tips or if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. If you have made it this far in the video, go ahead and leave the box emoji. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, all my social media links will be down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!